The Reluctant Marine, a reading roundtable story told by Cameron Camp. That's me. And this story is about my father. My dad was a reluctant Marine in World War II. At the time, he was newlywed and he had always been a rascal. For example, he had told my mother that he was 21. She was 19 when he proposed. Actually, he was 18, a year younger than her, and he let her know the truth just before their wedding ceremony. In spite of this, she married him. Soon, two pieces of news arrived for my dad. The first was that his wife was expecting, and the second was that he had been drafted. He showed up at the induction center angry and was asked what branch of service he preferred. He said, "I don't give a damn," quoting Clark Gable. The Marine recruiter then said, "We'll take him," and that was how he joined the Marines. He had grown up in Arkansas, hunting and swimming in the lakes around Hot Springs. That was where he was born and raised. This helped, since the Marines did not have to teach him to swim. Since he could swim, he got extra time off. He was also a good shot, and so he was given a Browning automatic rifle as his weapon, a BAR. He had always been hunting squirrels and other game when he was a young man and a boy. But he could not get over being himself, and so he was always getting into trouble. Assigned KP, that's kitchen patrol, punishment, so that you had to be doing extra things instead of having downtime. And he never rose above the rank of private first class. He had a drill sergeant who was really tough. During an inspection, my dad mumbled something in front of the sergeant. The sergeant said, "What did you just say, Private?" And my dad then shouted, "Sergeant, I said that most idiots are hard of hearing, Sergeant." More KP duty followed for Dad, but he kept plotting his revenge. When his platoon was getting ready to go overseas, everyone had to get their shots, their inoculations. My dad found out that his sergeant was afraid of needles, and so this private came up with a plan. My dad got to the front of the line and had his shots. Then he pinched around where he had been injected until it was bloody. He went to his sergeant and said, "Look, sir, the needles have hooks." The sergeant passed out. My mom took a train across the country to San Francisco to be close to where my dad was training. One day, she looked out and the fleet was gone with no warning. Back in those days, there was a saying, "Loose lips sink ships." And so no one knew when a fleet was going to be coming or going. That was the way things were during the war. And shortly after that, my sister was born in Napa, California. The only things private hate more than sergeant is the commissioned officer. Privates hate officers. For example, the officers got to use wooden latrines like outhouses and in privacy, while the enlisted men did not. My dad drew the worst KP duty, cleaning latrines. This duty involved pouring kerosene down the latrine and lighting it. Usually a cup of kerosene did the job. Another private, a friend of my dad's, had to pour. His friend was on KP duty. And my dad threw a match to light it. They started in the first latrine, started pouring, and his friend said, "Is this enough?" My dad kept saying, "Not yet, not yet, not yet," until the entire can of kerosene had gone down that one latrine. Then he told his friend, "Run," as my dad tossed in the match. Every latrine in the row burned down, and Dad had to dig the new ones, but he did it smiling. My dad was on the island of Okinawa when he was hit with shrapnel from a grenade. He woke up on a hospital ship and kept some of that shrapnel in him until he died. He left the war, but it never really left him. In the service, you had to wear dog tags and memorize your serial number. What was the purpose of the dog tag? Do you know? Some of the popular songs during World War II were "Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree with Anyone Else But Me" and "Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B." Do you have a favorite song from this time? Some men received a Dear John letter when they were overseas during the war. What did that mean? Remember that? Dear John, oh how I hate to write. And it's a song about, John, I'm leaving you for another. And in some versions, I'm leaving you for your brother. What type of food was served in the military? You know, Spam was used a lot in World War II. Over in Europe, Spam, like in England, became popular because of its use by the military, the Americans who were over there. Cigarettes were free for the military. When standing down, you were told, "Smoke them if you got them." Did you ever smoke? Did you ever try to give up the habit? I remember Lucky Strike cigarettes used to have a green cover, and they changed the color, and it was Lucky Strike Green Goes to War because the green dye was needed for the war effort. My dad quit the habit, cold turkey, and that was after he was a 2-pack-a-day man for many years. So I thank you for this reading and thinking about and discussing this story. I hope you found it entertaining. Maybe it brought back some memories. Would you like to do this again sometime? And we want to give photo credit for Unsplashed Photographers. That's the group that made these photographs available for us. And here's our websites. We hope that you'll listen to some of the other reading roundtables that we have. This was the Reluctant Marine. Thank you, and we'd like you to have a good day. Take care.